Welcome to the party. We have a great performance where you'll see, oops, we are 1 hour away from the party. This is not a party, this is cloud networking session. I'm Manisha Gupta, Group Product Manager with Google Cloud Networking. I have an incredible line of speakers here with me to share the stage, and we'll make sure that the next 45 minutes are worth your time, and we will make sure that you get to the party on time. All right? Do I have everybody's attention? Okay, awesome. So you've heard about cross-cloud network in the executive keynotes earlier in the week. So in this session, we would like to go a bit deeper into what cross-cloud networking is, what cross-cloud network can do to transform how you build applications, how you deliver those applications in a secure manner, and how do you optimize experience for your end users as you build and deliver these global applications. So here is our line of presenters. I'm joined with some of my esteemed colleagues. We have some partners and customers as well who will join the stage, and they will talk about their experiences working with us and working with our solutions. So let's just start with some context, and a lot of this is probably a recap of what you heard in the previous sessions. We had an ARC 201 this morning where we talked about some of the key challenges that we are focusing on as we are thinking through building this cross-cloud networking platform, right? So a lot of you have moved your applications to the cloud, and as you did that, you built networking solutions to connect your on-prem networks to your cloud networks. And as you added more clouds, these networking solutions became complex. So these networking solutions could be like you built co-locations, you built other regional aggregation points, or whatever your choice of the networking solution was. And from a security perspective, a lot of our customers, they started with deploying their on-prem firewalls into these co-locations where they were doing inter-cloud, multi-cloud connectivity. And for the cloud workloads, there was a choice. You could go with the cloud-native providers, native security controls, or you could go through the operational complexity of deploying these third-party virtual firewalls into your cloud environments. So in either case, networking was challenging, it was expensive, and from a security perspective, you lost visibility to your traffic as that traffic crossed the cloud boundaries. So this is at the core of some of the problems that we looked at as we built this platform. Secondly, when you want to deliver these platforms, now you have to build your global front ends. So what this does is it opens up a huge threat surface for your applications, which are now exposed to internet-based threats. And as we all know, these threats are increasing both in volume and sophistication as the bad actors out there are increasingly using AI-based tools to create a new variant of the threat every few minutes. So how do we make sure that, as you are delivering these applications over the internet, you are staying ahead of those bad actors in terms of securing your own assets that are running in these public cloud environments? And finally, your workforce, right? So we all are familiar with the growth in the hybrid workforce, and we all know that a lot of you have adopted best-of-breed security providers in order to secure access for those mobile users to your enterprise environments. So while the secure services edge solutions, they provide you with the best-of-breed security, the one challenge that a lot of customers have told us that they have faced is around application experience, because the SSE providers are using internet-based connectivity to connect back into your enterprise applications after they have inspected the user traffic coming into their environment. So if you kind of put all of this together, what you see is a patchwork of multiple networks often built together by using solutions from different vendors. It is very complex. You see inconsistent security. It is very hard to manage your security posture in this kind of an environment. And plus, you're also dealing with the soaring costs of this network. So what if you could build your applications by using any service that met your needs in any environment that you wanted? So consider a scenario where you built an application in Cloud A, and now you want to use BigQuery or Spanner services to further enhance the capability of that application. or you have your data on-prem and you want to use that data to train your AI ML model running in GCP. Right? What if you could deliver these applications to your global users and you could turn on ML-based security out of the box? And what if you could do all of this without impacting the application experience for your end users? And that is really the goal for us as we thought through building Cloud Network Platform. A global networking platform that offers on-demand any-to-any connectivity to bring these distributed applications closer to each other, the ability to turn on ML-based security for any traffic flow, app to app, user to app, app to internet, and to provide that optimal experience for your applications when those application backends could be running in any cloud environment. So now let's take a deeper look at some of the key attributes of this platform. So we understand that you do not like to be logged in by good enough vendor security solutions, like some of our other cloud providers are forcing you to do. Our philosophy is a little different. We believe in giving flexibility and choice to our customers to be able to choose which security provider they want to work with. And this is where we are investing very heavily in developing very deep integrations with a broad partner ecosystem so that we are able to offer you these third-party services in Google Cloud in the same manner as we offer any first-party service. Our latest addition to our partner ecosystem are SASE providers, Prisma Access from Palo Alto Networks, and Broadcom Symantec Secure Web Gateway solution, where you can now turn on SASE service within your own VPC in GCP as a GCP native service without having to go through complex routing changes to enable these services for your environment. And we're extending the same integrations across our NG Firewall platform, NG Firewall partners. We have existing partnerships with SD-WAN and other industry-leading routing partners. So you have the flexibility to bring in your traffic in any way using our partnerships, turn on any third-party firewall solution or SSE solution in our environment. We also know that as you deploy your global front ends for serving those internet-based applications, you want to bring in your choice of API security, you want to bring in your own bot management solution, or any other third-party services for that matter for your own custom needs, your own compliance needs, security needs, or any other business needs. And this is where we are introducing data plane extensions into our CDN and load balancer products, where you can either customize using some simple lines of code, if that's the way you want to go, or you can work with any of our third-party partners and insert those services very easily as you roll out this global front end with GCP. So quick question. Who can tell me which GCP service protected against the largest DDoS attack that we have seen in the last 12 months? I'll give you a hint. The customer got impacted was Broadcom. Cloud Armor, perfect, thank you. Cloud Armor was the first cloud-native WAF service to offer ML-based DDoS protection in the industry to protect against zero-day DDoS attacks. And we continue to invest in this space by building more ML models to provide you more coverage for different types of attacks that you see when you are deploying these applications and delivering these applications over the internet. But we also know that security is a best-of-breed market. And there are existing pure-play vendors who have invested years and years in building that threat intel and bringing that threat intel into their products and into their solutions. So we are also investing in partnering with the market leaders to bring in their services into our environment as a GCP native service. So our Cloud NG Firewall service that we announced this week is a classic example of our partnership with Palo Alto Networks, where we brought in their advanced threat protection as a native service in GCP within our distributed cloud firewall stack. The other cool aspect of our security capability as part of this platform is something that the security teams struggle with a lot in terms of compliance, auditing, and overall managing and monitoring the network security posture. So with all these disjointed tools and products, it's very, very hard for a security team to know what the security posture is of this hybrid environment. So with our org level policies, now security teams can monitor and maintain the network security posture that is acceptable to your organization for your line of business, and they can audit and they can plan for conformance to certain standards that your business requires through our org level policies and our policy driven constructs. And they can do so at scale because we do not require security teams to be requiring routing design changes to your network if you have to insert something simple as a layer 4 or layer 7 firewall in your traffic. So any security control that you want to turn on in GCP cloud, you can do that with a security policy without having to ever rethink about your network design. And while you do all of this, you can be assured that it would not impact the experience of your applications that could be running in different environments. So cross-cloud networks makes Google's planet scale backbone available for you to use and build your enterprise network on top of that. And with our extensive peerings with our ISPs, SaaS vendors, our broadest presence across more than 200 countries and territories, we provide the best application experience for any application that you're hosting in Google Cloud or in any other environment with optimal application experience. And Google's intelligent routing will guarantee the best path to steer your traffic anywhere in your environment. So with cross-cloud network, you can easily consume any GCP service to build your distributed applications anywhere. And we provide you a very scalable, service-based networking architecture to build these applications. You can deliver your distributed applications with ML-based security turned on by default with our Cloud Armor service. And you can standardize on your security provider for workforce security, be it SSE or any other stack that you wish to use to secure all your hybrid workforce, and at the same time, optimizing the experience for your private applications. Cross-cloud network is real, and our customers are already using it to accelerate their business goals. So I would like to invite Tom and Victor to tell us more about how Priceline is using cross-cloud network to resolve some of these challenges, and we'll go through the details.
Thank you, Manisha. So good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. That was a great review of the cross-cloud network. I have the privilege of sharing the stage here with Tom today. Tom is a principal network engineer at Priceline, and Tom has a lot of experience building networks and has been on a journey to actually take Priceline into cloud in the last few years. Tom, you want to tell us a little bit about Priceline?
Yeah, thanks, Victor. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. Priceline is an online travel agency who's been in business for the last 25 years. We help our customers experience the moments that matter through great deals on hotels, flights, rental cars, vacation packages, and more.
Thanks, Tom. So we're going to look in more detail at the cross-cloud network, and we're going to look mainly at 3 use cases. We're going to look at building distributed applications, as Manisha alluded to. We're looking at basically combining the best of any resources you may have in any of these different networks that we're interconnecting. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we actually take those distributed applications and deliver them out on the internet. And last but not the least, what we do to actually secure hybrid workforce. So with that in mind, let's go into the distributed application and how we assemble this. So at the foundation of delivering these distributed applications is connectivity. So the first thing that we need to optimize is how we actually provide that connectivity. And we are evolving our interconnect product to give you cross-cloud interconnect, which is basically a point-to-point connection directly between cloud providers. So you don't have to manage a router in a colocation and hop through that router to interconnect cloud providers. We go back to back. It's a fully managed delivery system where you can actually get a letter of authorization from the peer provider, and Google Cloud will take care of all the setup for you. Now, why is this important and why is this relevant? Well, first we want to simplify what you're doing in those co-locations, but more importantly, by going back to back, you can enable MACsec, and now you get privacy that you didn't have before in these connections. Because you're bypassing these routers in the way, your latency could presumably be lower. But what really makes it lower is the fact that there's a global footprint of co-locations where you can actually create these connections, and you can create connections where you really need them, where they really are going to reduce your latency. And lastly, we can guarantee 99.99% availability for your services. So when you look at that whole combination, you're now looking at a very trustworthy set of connections that start making this multi-network network behave as if it was one backbone. And in one backbone, you can do things that you couldn't do before. Now you've got latency considerations that prevented you from doing things before that you can actually overcome, privacy, and so forth. So that's the very heart of this. Now, once you have this available, your developers are going to want to create services on top of this, and one of the key tools is load balancing. We've extended our load balancing to actually include hybrid resources, resources that are in other clouds, by using what we call the hybrid NEGs. The hybrid NEGs actually can include in the backends of the load balancers, basically resources on all of these other clouds. Now, that is not sufficient because we want to make this global. So we also have introduced the global backends, which means our backends can now cut across a multitude of regions. So all the benefits of actually health checking on the resources are now extended to resources that are in other clouds over these fast links. So now it starts looking like you've actually expanded the scope of your cloud, all in one. And lastly, you're going to have access to private services or to APIs in general, right? And we want to do that in a private manner. We don't want to go out to the internet to get to these services after we've gone through all the work to actually create this network. So with PSC, you can actually create a private presence for all these services and access the services from wherever you may be in this federation of networks, whether it's from on-prem, another cloud provider, or natively from Google Cloud. Now, once you've assembled your services, you can also choose to publish them for consumption by other organizations. And you can basically attach PSC as the front end to the applications that you've created with resources that are distributed across multiple clouds. So very interested to hear how Priceline can leverage some of these tools.
Yeah, definitely. So Priceline started our cloud journey several years ago, and right away we saw the benefit of leveraging the Interconnect product line to help us scale our infrastructure, building a secure hybrid cloud architecture, right? Transforming our workloads with the power of Google Cloud's technology attached to our data centers. I'm excited to hear that you're including the cross-cloud connectivity in that piece. We have workloads in other clouds that's challenging to manage that connectivity. And I believe we'll be able to leverage that in a ton of use cases as soon as I start my way back home. The benefits of encryption with MACsec is something that we've had to do internally for different regulatory and compliance reasons. We handle a lot of personal data and payment data and go through a number of regulatory and compliance exercises. So definitely we'll see the benefit of that. My InfoSec team, I'm sure, is going to be excited to hear that that's a possibility for us with Google Cloud. And obviously, the predictable latency and dynamic scaling of that network fabric is very important. Right away from the beginning of our migration, we had large-scale data transfers, and how do I enable teams to start transforming their workloads right away and being able to meet that scaling without having to invest a lot of time and energy and build new relations with a whole bunch of different partners. That'll really enable us to continue to flex out our infrastructure. To go to your point 3 here, PSC and even PSA has been huge in our AI and ML enablement for Priceline. We're right now building out a ton of generative AI features, including a chatbot we just brought to market called Penny, which will help customers transform their travel book experience, giving them ways to personalize their travel experience and help them find great discounts. So that's been really awesome. It's been obviously a huge topic throughout the past couple of days. So it's been really exciting being able to leverage things like Vertex AI and Bard to help us with internal search for the crazy amount of documentation, and separated data sets is also very important. So the combination of the cross-cloud interconnect, the PSC, being able to connect my data sets in other clouds is a really powerful story. Continuing with those themes of resilience and performance, powering all of that, I think it's going to provide a great value to us and your other customers. So we can go to our next slide here. We can talk a little bit about.
I'm excited about Penny.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I wanna see that we probably need Penny to push on this, by the way. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Victor and I have been talking about this for a while and thought it would be a great idea to give you some understanding of the architecture at Priceline. We have a multi-regional architecture with VPCs, and we operate out of several regions. A great part of that architecture includes the load balancers with global access, being able to make sure that our workloads are available where we need them to be, leveraging the internal health checks and smart network routing to complement the application routing has been critical to the way we operate our stack. It's definitely a hugely important part of our disaster recovery and business continuity workflow as well. We're able to shift traffic in and out of regions, take regions in and out of service. And the global backend solution that Victor mentioned in the previous slide will be a great complement to that. Now, not only do I have front ends that are globally available, but now I can choose backends from other cloud providers and other regions, and how do I tie those things in where it makes the most sense. It gives me great flexibility, again, with the ability to rely on the resiliency and the health checks that are coming with the cross-cloud networking solution. So it'll continue to help us accelerate in our migrations and integration into Google Cloud, and gives us new ways to think about DR and BC. Instead of failing at a region level, I can probably fail to service levels. I can probably put workloads in other places that would, maybe be more optimal for our product stack or for our customer experience. So a lot of great flexibility.
A lot of flexibility, huh? Yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this with you. So without security, nothing happens, right? No plane is left off the ground without securing it. And this is no different, right? So Manisha shared with you a little bit of what we're doing in terms of integrating natively fully functional firewall stacks. So our cloud firewall is evolving to basically be a fully featured next generation firewall. It's actually powered by our partners Palo Alto in the back end. So it's a Palo Alto firewall that is actually plumbed for you just like we plumb your native cloud firewall. So you don't really see it. You set your policy and the policy will apply to the workloads that are involved, right? So that's the kind of cloud model that we want for these firewalls. And as you look at this, we're basically bringing a ton of networks all together, and there's perimeter firewalls at the edges of those networks, right? So how are we going to do this in a practical manner? So this is a tool that comes into play to actually allow you to do this in a way that is actually cloud friendly versus having to do a lot of PBR and static routes and all sorts of really fun stuff when you do it once, but the second time around, you don't want to do it anymore, right? So that comes with its own policy language, and we extend our cloud firewall policy to actually allow you to do next generation firewalling there. And we understand that you probably have a big investment in your existing policy language and tooling and integrations and so forth. So for you to bring all that over and still get the benefits of that native plumbing, we have basically the Network Services Integration Manager, or affectionately known as NSIM. And NSIM allows you to basically bring your own firewalls. There is a series of partners that actually participate in this program, and the firewall will be discovered. All the resources in cloud will be actually built for you, and you are left with the things that you care about. The lifecycle management of the software on your firewalls, all the policies on your firewalls, and the integration with your systems. So this is basically how we're planning on securing all the traffic to and from the workloads in the distributed app. Tom, what do you think? Do you think this is useful for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is going to be, I think, a pretty powerful shift in traffic inspection and defense for my workloads. At Next, there's been a lot of buzz around the NGFW, and I definitely see that it has a place in our architecture. Layer 7 inspection is important for some of my most secure workloads, as well as the AI-driven threat intelligence that comes with a platform like Palo Alto, the URL filtering, DNS security. Many great options and features available there. And to your point, this becomes more than a workload protection service. You're talking about being able to build perimeters in the cloud that make sense. Priceline manages a lot of network perimeters. And this gives me an opportunity to consider centralizing some of that, making my life a little bit easier and more uniform as far as how do I allow things to talk to my cloud, and what can I do to continue to build that security posture that makes the most sense to how we're developing our tools. And then you made another great point, taking advantage of existing tooling and the investments that companies have made in deploying your own Palos and being able to leverage the APIs that the vendor exposes to build automation and tooling and making operations a lot easier is definitely critical. So simplified management, reducing your complexity, they're all powerful stories to tell here.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about how you do it today.
Yeah, so
we've had some scars there.
So we leverage the native firewall in Google, and that's been awesome, allowing us to adopt microsegmentation and transform the way we do a lot of our policies. But we did this. We saw that there was value in bringing a next-gen firewall to Google and deployed virtual Palos. And it's been a huge step in our security posture. We identified the need for URL filtering and that threat analysis and mitigation that we talked about. But it didn't come without complexity, right? There's a lot to manage when you do something like this. There's routing in multiple vendors, load balancers, lots of different pieces that you have to manage on top of the life cycle of the virtual appliance, right? There's firmware to manage and patching and, making sure that you have all of your security policies and posture and configuration lined up. So looking forward to see how that gets simplified with next-gen firewall, and glad to see that the Google Cloud team has provided a way for customers to move forward on this in the interim.
Fantastic. Well, it's a journey, right? So we protect workloads today, and as we move forward, that transit traffic will also be natively enforced. So I'm going to shift gears to the second use case. So we talked about delivering the application on the internet and what we're going to do for that. So now that we've built this network and it has all the bandwidth that it has, and you got the latency under control, you could see that you may have web applications that are in different cloud providers or maybe on-prem. And you're probably running a dedicated front end for each one of these. And you could conceivably think, well, what if I brought it all under one umbrella? And that's exactly what we are opening the opportunity for you to do. So the global front end is, at its heart, has the global application load balancer. The global application load balancer is distributed worldwide, and it can advertise a single unicast IP address for your application out of dozens of different POPs around the world. The result of that is that you can get to your application without playing any tricks on DNS geolocalization. You have one IP address that is valid across the world, and shortest path routing is actually going to get you to the front end in the POP that is closest to you. So we optimize that leg of the of the connection with just standard routing mechanisms. And then once you're on the global load balancer, that global load balancer is actually running health checks on all of these services, not just to the different cloud providers, but to the different regions on the different cloud providers and on-prem facilities. So you have full knowledge of what the best place is to actually serve that application from. So that's the second leg, optimized. So now you've got the optimal path to the better place to service the application from. And if you have static content, which we all do, then we offload that to the cloud CDN that is co-located with these load balancers. So that optimizes your traffic. The next thing that we need is basically security. Manisha talked a little bit about this and how we have an extensible framework where you can actually grow your security stack and customize it, right? So the load balancers are based on Envoy proxy infrastructure, and the Envoy proxy infrastructure allows to use service extensions, and we start with WAF services and distributed denial of service attack protection, but now you have an open environment where you can actually include bot protections and API protections. So pretty powerful. Any thoughts on how you could benefit from this, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Google Cloud Load Balancer and Cloud Armor are critical to the way we deliver our products to customers. I'm glad to see that the cross-cloud networking is integrated into this as part of the full picture. Being able, again, to attach backends that are in other cloud providers and surface them through a unified front end with Google Cloud, that will continue to accelerate opportunity to integrate services while maintaining the benefits of the GCLB, right? The Anycast, IPing, and the application routing features, as well as the layers of security enhancements, being able to leverage Cloud Armor with its ML enhancements as well as the system extensions, I think will be something that we'll definitely want to look into. You know, providing DDoS protection on-prem and in other networks can be complicated, and I'm hoping that this will be a great way to do that with a lot less complexity. So I'm sure my SRE team will love to hear about all of this. They're going to have plenty of ideas about how we can start bringing some of this into our product portfolio.
We'll for sure go talk to the SRE team.
Yeah.
Right after this. So securing access from the internet, super important, but also we have all our employees are now basically live in the internet, right? So the story has changed from I go to work, I'm on a private network, I go home, and if I want to do some work, I have to VPN into the private network. So no matter what, we were keeping people on the private network. That all changed, and it accelerated with COVID, where the internet was the network, right? And as a consequence, the risk profile of our employees, our users, basically changed. And what the security industry has done is basically they've enhanced the security stacks to include features that control data leaks, can include other features that are relevant to the public access of all of these resources. And basically the stack that resulted is what is known as the Secure Service Edge Stack, or SSE. And those stacks have traditionally been deployed in their own POPs, in their own locations on the internet, reachable over the internet, but they're also separate from the data center. So if you're accessing a private application, those stacks, after processing and securing everything, have to basically encrypt the traffic and tunnel it back. And there is a performance cost to that encryption and that tunneling. There's also performance cost to that detour that we take. So what we're doing is basically bringing those secure services edge stacks with partners and bringing them into Google, right? Some of them already run on Google Cloud. But what's new here is that the traffic that comes off the security stack is now natively in your VPC. It's part of your network. So there is no requirement for encryption. You're basically on a fast connection, native in cloud, and now you can actually treat it in the same way as you treat the native firewalling. right? So this gives us a lot of advantages in terms of performance of applications that actually are accessed from the public network. Also for users that are in need to access SaaS applications that are out on the internet, will go through this stack as well. So now you have the flexibility to stitch based on policy the traffic through these services and without having to create any external complicated networks. And this is a key part that I would like your thoughts, Tom, on what your journey has been like in actually simplifying the network that you had to build before and bringing that into a network that is consolidated or simplified.
Yeah, definitely. And, as you stated, the conditions with COVID and migrating to a hybrid workforce, we had to rethink how we were performing and providing VPN services for our staff, right? We went through a major WAN consolidation over the past year, where we adopted Prisma Access as part of that solution, because managing VPN headends and transit networking while still maintaining a high quality user experiences obviously comes with a lot of challenges, especially as that workforce stretches and starts to become international. So we wanted to adopt the SSE for benefits of reduction in managing that hardware, reduction in route complexity, being able to leverage the features of malware protection and URL filtering and DNS security, as well as being able to hook all of this into our cloud network fabric. It made a ton of sense, right? So the journey that we're looking forward to as the Secure Services Edge is brought into Google will be a focus on continuing to simplify that management. I can consider dropping some of that transit networking and simplifying that so that my sites and my users connect directly to my Prisma Edge within Google. That comes again with the benefits you stated, being able to drop lots of IPsec tunnels so that I can take full advantage of the line rate speeds and being able to deeper integrate those services into my cloud stack so I can surface workloads that my users need to access every day in a predictable latency experience with all of that bandwidth. There's a lot of parts there that definitely makes sense, as well as continuing to expose more PSC and Google API-driven services so that we can continue to build cool new features for our products.
Fantastic. So do you think you'll miss your old network?
We'll see.
We'll see. Now, how about application experience? Do you see this actually improving it, or how do you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think this is a good summary of being able to bring all of these cross-cloud networking solutions together, right? So the hybrid workforce now gets to benefit from the cross-cloud interconnected network architecture, being able to have the performance benefits from that, the connectivity into other clouds, workload availability, being able to access the workloads I need them to wherever they might be, as well as move them around with whatever makes sense in my stack, with the global backend and again, the global access product. The performance benefits of the Secure Services Edge being regionally available. All of my distributed international workforce will connect to POPs that make the most sense for them. I don't have to backhaul traffic across oceans and give, peculiar localization artifacts as people are accessing things over the internet. It'll be closer to them so that all translates into a better experience for them, as well as the rich SaaS peering fabric that Google Cloud provides, right? I have a lot of SaaS solutions in my network architecture today, and being able to continue to extend those benefits as a part of that is great. And then again, we're talking a lot about how do we make our lives easier. We've all managed hardware, we've all managed the life cycle of those appliances. This gives us the ability to focus on delivering features and focus on how do we continue to improve products instead of just managing hardware and transit.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for all those wonderful insights. None of this would happen without strong partnerships. And to tell us a little more about those partnerships, I'm going to invite Anupam and Anup to the stage so that they can tell you all about the great Palo Alto and Google Cloud partnership.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. That was a very crisp articulation of the value proposition of cross-cloud network. So I'm going to invite Anupam and thank him for being here with us to share some of his thoughts on our journey together. So before that, I would really like to thank Palo Alto, who has been a long-time customer and partner of Google Cloud. Anupam, we have known each other for more than 10 years now. First as friends, then as colleagues, and now as partners representing two industry leaders. Our partnership, I don't believe, has been stronger ever before. You heard about the Cloud NGFW that we launched as part of this partnership, delivering 20 times the efficacy that other similar solutions in the market have. As the product leader for Prisma SASE, what do you think are the synergies between Google Cloud and Palo Alto?
Yeah. First of all, Anup, thank you for having me. Great to be here. Tom, great articulation of Prisma Access. Thank you. Look, Prisma Access is Palo Alto's cloud-delivered SASE solution, which protects all users and all applications with a consistent security and policy stack. All users means hybrid, could be remote, could be branch. Applications could be private, public, SaaS, infrastructure as a service. And doing that with a single policy and a single security stack. And what we're doing is we are providing security and access without compromising on security or access. And the way that is done is we focus on our core competency, which is security, and leverage Google for its hyperscaler. The whole idea is to get the traffic. We host our service on Google Cloud. We get to Google Cloud as fast as possible, as close to the user, inspect the traffic, use Google's premium backbone to get as close to the application as possible, and then egress out. And what that does is, it allows us to have a security processing SLA of less than 10 milliseconds. And that's really possible by bringing Prisma Access and Google Cloud together. Actually, Anup, I'll share a story. Well, actually, it's real. It's literally about 16 months back, there was a fiber cut in Greece, which caused a huge impact. It had ripple effects from Europe all the way to Australia. And a lot of SEC vendors that build the data centers and fibers on their own had actually an outage lasting hours. In our case, our outage was less than 6 seconds, which means it was not perceptible to the user. And that was done because we were leveraging Google's hyperscaler. Google saw the fiber cut, they moved to a different path, and there was no impact to our service. And that's the power of Google and Palo Alto coming together to offer this cloud SASE solution.
Didn't you have a blog on that?
Yes, I did. I did, absolutely. And I think that was the time when return to office was becoming a thing. And Anup and I got back at Palo Alto and we were discussing, look, this cloud thing is real, like Victor was saying. Everything is in the cloud. People are working from anywhere. A lot of customers are using multi-cloud solutions. How do we take advantage of this inflection point, multi-cloud and hybrid workforce, to provide a more differentiated solution for the customer? Do you remember that conversation?
Absolutely. As you heard earlier, the on-prem to cloud migration is almost behind us. Gen AI is changing the way our customers are thinking about innovating into the future. Applications and data are distributed with cross-cloud dependencies. Customers are global, and the workforce is hybrid. By bringing two solutions like Prisma Access and Google's Planet Scale network together, we are able to now offer a solution that is extremely difficult to replicate in the industry. With cross-cloud network solution for hybrid workforce, we have a solution that allows our customers to consolidate the bespoke networks, have consistent best-of-breed security, and enhanced application experience, all together. But I don't believe this is it, Anupam. We have to continue down this journey. And if I were guessing, we will be brainstorming again for the next wave of innovation. And I have a feeling that it has got to do with something to do with AI and co-pilots, something that your CEO, Nikesh, is very hot on. And I promise, next time I will host in Google.
Oh, that's awesome. Two things, cafe food is good, and I need to have that revenge match with you guys in cricket. We lost the last round. Look, ChatGPT was a phenomenon that got unleashed on the world this year. And it's just not the good guys that are using ChatGPT. We are seeing large language models being adopted by bad actors to provide vulnerability attacks and malware. And they're trying to use all those artificial intelligence to create new attacks. And for security vendors to stay ahead, we got to understand, interpret those attacks, and provide the right protection for that. And this is where the power of Palo Alto's security stack and the data that we get from our security stack because of our points of presence across multiple thousands of customers and Google Cloud's AI strengths comes to play. When you put both of these together, now what you can do is you use that data to really understand, and that data is just not the data that you're coming from your customers, the data that you're also coming from the dark web, and really use that data to understand what are the new security threats and vulnerabilities that can be launched against you, and use that to build the next generation of defense for that, even before those threats get launched. And I think that's the next frontier for us to come together and really keep one step ahead of the bad guys like we always have been.
Thank you, Anupam. Very well said. I'm sure we'll see you all again next year speaking about what we are introducing in AI, right?
Thank you.
Awesome. So let me wrap this up really quickly. So as a summary, cross-cloud network is here. It is real. And this solution offers up to 35% improved application experience, up to 40% lower TCO for not having to manage your own networks that provide the cross-cloud connectivity. And last but not the least, security is built in, and it is best of breed. With cross-cloud network, you have an open platform with best-of-breed security that is built in, that provides any-to-any connectivity with high-performance underlying network. It makes the access to Google's premium first-party services like Vertex AI, Spanner, GKE extremely simple and efficient. So with that, we're going to conclude the session. We have run out of time for Q&A, but we'll be here. If you have any questions, we'll take it just beside the stage here. Thank you.